Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Manns, and I'd like to welcome you to the April 4th Coalition Show. This is the June 15th, 2026 edition of the show. Our mission statement is we are for workers' rights and collective bargaining rights and are against tax breaks for the rich and corporations who ship our jobs overseas. We support all the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but as is our custom, we put the emphasis on Article 23. You want 1 and 2?
Sure. Number 1, everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, in just and favorable conditions of work, and protection against unemployment. Number 2, everyone, without any discrimination, has the right to equal pay for equal work.
Number 3, everyone who works has the right to just and favorable remuneration, ensuring for himself or herself and his or her family an existence worthy of human dignity, and supplemented if necessary by other means of social protection. Number 4, everyone who has the right to form and join trade unions for the protection of his or her interests. I'm getting over a cold, folks, so I'm going to be a little hoarse throughout the show. We also would like to thank the staff at NBCTC, Nicole A. Brown and Stephen Burgoon for their assistance in producing the show, and the program director of WMNB for airing the show on Fridays at 6 p.m., the audio portion. Dick, I've been away at the Cape, which is part of the reason I have a cold.
And you have been away, and I just have to make a correction because there's been a transition here in the new name of the
show, the staff, yes, you're right.
Of the organization is Gateway Collaborative Media.
You're right, thank you.
And so I want you to write that down because I didn't mean to correct you in the middle of the show, but we want to be.
That's quite all right.
We're just getting used to it. We've been doing this show since about 2012 or 2013, right around there. So we've been in the habit of calling it Northern Berkshire Community Television, but I bet you we're not the only people in North Berkshire that are still making that mistake, but let's try to help by getting it correct.
Getting the word out, and you are correct. Thank you, Dick, for pointing me out on that.
Well, it wouldn't have happened if Steve hadn't given me this information. I had it right in front of me because
that's quite all right.
We're pretty old.
I knew it was changing,
it's hard
and
for
I
us
got
to
the
change.
emails, but I just...
Well, I wish him luck with the new heading and the new
name.
New name and
because
the new
you know
format.
what they say, every time you change your name, it takes about 3 months to 6 months for people to remember the new name.
Yeah, well, I think
versus the other one. That's why when North Adams State College went to MCLA, it had a good 30% drop because everybody didn't know what for a year. Nobody knew what MCLA was.
Right. So it's a transition. So we're going to try to help with that transition. But you know, again, we talked about, you know, we were founded as a group, the April 4th Coalition, back in 2011. You know, when we were organizing to fight what was going on in Wisconsin under Governor Scott Walker, and they asked for a nationwide support strike or demonstrations, and we met for several weeks or months even to organize that April 4th demonstration in front of City Hall. And you know, we started having meetings, right? We had weekly meetings at the college.
At the college.
Who would get the room for us?
I or Charlie Ciamperini would book the room.
Yeah, Charlie, what union was he with at the college?
Charlie at the time was with the APA, the American Professional Association.
And you were in the...
I was in ASME, which is American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees.
And we also had representatives from the Massachusetts Teachers Association too.
Yes, we had Dana rep at the time.
And he's the one that came up with our mission statement, I remember it.
Yes, he actually did. And at that particular rally, we had support from various other unions throughout the county.
Yeah, we had the firefighters were there. We had teachers from McCann's and Drury, and
we had the police association, I think, were there. Some of them.
Yeah, and we had the Letter Carriers Association.
And the Letter Carriers, because that's yours.
Yeah, National Association of Letter Carriers. And we have tomorrow night. We have our Old Timers Night, so it's an annual little cookout that they have and bring back all the retirees, and you stand up and say how many years you worked and how many years you've been out.
And that you
And
love
they have
retirement, right?
Right, and then we have a representative from the National Business Agents Office that comes and talks and gives us an update on what's going on nationally.
That's actually very good thing to keep up.
Yeah,
because,
it is.
I mean, ASME does have a retiree group that I'm part of, and so does the State Association, and I joined that one so that I get updates on what's going on legislatively through the state retirement group, and I continue to get updates and benefits from ASME through the Retirement Association. I just send out 2 checks and I get it kind of keeps me up on what's going on with the state. I mean, they're mainly worried about insurance for the retirees and, you know, and of course the maintenance of the continual social platform programs that retirees need to keep going, like Medicare and so forth, and Social Security.
Well, since we spoke last, a week ago Sunday on the 7th, on June 7th, you mentioned insurance.
Right.
And we were co-sponsors along with the Mass Care Association, the Greylock Together, the Berkshire Brigade, Senator Paul Mark and State Representative John Barrett, and we had a discussion at the All Saints Episcopal Church on the establishment of single-payer health insurance in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and how to get that established. And we had John Weissman, who is a former union president with the National Association of Letter Carriers in the branch 46, which was all of Western Massachusetts except for Berkshire County. And also we had David Cohen, who lives in Greenfield. But we had John Weissman on our show.
Many times.
Yeah, and so, but we had him on talking about this one issue. So we took another step to try to get a hub, what they call a hub, in Berkshire County. So we had about 30 people show up.
That's
so it was a really
good
good discussion.
County.
Yeah.
And it's a very necessary step. There's no reason our medical costs are so high except that insurance drives it up because most of your cost is coming. You have to pay so much for insurance, and if
this plan will save billions of dollars, billions. And John Weissman quoted Winston Churchill roughly saying that, you know, Americans can always be relied upon after they've tried everything else to do the right thing.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's what we're trying to.
He's absolutely right. And we've tried the business market for insurance.
Right.
And it doesn't keep the cost down because eventually businesses get monopolized into these large conglomerations, and then they start ticking the price up so that we all have to pay so much for insurance, and then they start saying, well, we're only going to give you X amount.
Right. This would be setting up the Massachusetts Healthcare Trust, and it would be funded through taxes on a payroll tax. So anybody that worked would pay 2.5% of their annual salary after the first $20,000. So if you made $125,000, you would pay 2.5% of $100,000. So you would pay $2,500 per year. That would be your cost for your health care. And it would be Medicare plus, because it would include dental, vision, and long-term care. Right. And they feel that the numbers are like Massachusetts at this time, all the residents, all the state, all the government, every medical cost, the total amount of medical cost in Massachusetts per year is about $137 billion. And so they have an economist to work on it, and they feel that they can get that down to $90 billion with the healthcare trust.
About 47,000.
40, yeah. But what they want to do is they want to spend $10 billion more so they can provide dental, vision, and long-term care for everybody.
Which, of course, if everybody knows, isn't covered in Medicare.
Right. So what they want to have expanded health care. And so it was really a very good discussion, and I hope that, you know, people can begin to realize that there's another solution to the problem of rising healthcare costs, you know.
That would be awesome if we could actually just get that launched off.
Yeah,
You know,
they even had little cards. I don't know if I brought one with me. I think I gave them all away. They had little cards that would be what your insurance. Oh yeah, I have one right here.
Because I'm lucky. I'm in the Commonwealth of Mass retirement system, but you put that with Medicare and everything else that I have to pay, I'm still paying probably close to $400 a month for insurance.
Yeah, my wife and I-
that's me in the state system. I wouldn't want to even think what private is.
Right. My wife and I are together, and I have a very good program, being in the federal Blue Cross and Blue Shield program because of my employment with the Postal Service. But I think total, because we take dental and vision costs are extra, we pay for that. But it's close to $10,000 a year that we're paying, you know, if you put in the social, what you pay in for
Social Security.
for Medicare, you know.
For Medicare, right.
And what this would do, this would reimburse that money that you're paying into Medicare.
Right.
So it would cost nothing, you know.
Yeah, because I noticed the card you handed me shows nothing, nothing, nothing,
Right,
nothing.
right. What this
Across
does,
here
the
is the
card,
ideal.
what the card says, this is patients use any healthcare provider they choose. No prior authorization needed for medically necessary treatment and hospital admission. Providers file claims with the Massachusetts Healthcare Trust for payment. And you would be in Group 1, effective always, cover all-inclusive, plan type Medicare for all. And the monthly premiums would be zero, the deductible would be zero, the co-payments for primary care zero, specialist zero, mental health zero, dental zero, vision zero, hearing zero, long-term care zero. It would all be part of the plan. Health care, not health insurance. That's
Right.
the difference.
That's the difference, because right now we're paying for health insurance, and then health insurance tells you
Right.
what you can do and what you can't do.
I talked to one man who has his own business, and you know, he runs an electrical business and he has employees, but I said, are you retiring soon? He goes, no, I have to wait till I'm 65, you know, when I'm eligible for Medicare, because, you know, I can't afford, you
The-
know. Then I explained this to him about, you know, if you made 120,000, you know, it would be 2,500 a year. He goes, that's what I pay a month. And he
Right.
doesn't get any coverage either.
No.
The big holes in what the coverage is.
Oh, and there's usually all those deductibles and annual
Right.
I mean, I think I still am subject to a quarterly fee if I have to go into a hospital. Or,
Right. This would,
And
what
whatnot.
what the healthcare trust would do is they would negotiate, just like insurance companies do, but they would negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies. They would negotiate with the hospitals and with the doctors on what they were willing to pay. And they're thinking that they can do it for Medicare plus 10%. There might be some negotiation, they have it in the plan, they might have to go up to 20, or maybe they'll get a better deal, but they think that they can make this
They
make
think
this
they can
work.
make this work without it.
They
breaking the bank.
computed, they have a calculation, because employers have to pay a tax. You, like individuals pay a 2.5%,
Right.
but your employer will also have to pay, if it's under 100 employees, 7.5% on each employee. They would pay that into the system. And then if you had a organization that was bigger than 100, they would pay 8% on each employee.
On
of
each
eight-
employee.
And then if you're self-employed, you would pay 10%. But all that money in there would be enough to keep this system going, and they think they would have the negotiating power of what the Veterans Administration has. The size of Massachusetts is such that they would have negotiating power. And if we could get this installed in Massachusetts, the legislation is there, and John Barrett was there, and he's been a co-sponsor. He said ever since he took over when Gail Caridi passed away and he ran to replace her and won, he started looking through all her files, and he saw that Gail was a big advocate for this single payer thing. So he got on board and he sponsored it, co-sponsored the bill right from the start. And they've been proposing this every year. And it has a lot of co-sponsors. Berkshire County is the only county in the entire Commonwealth where every elected state legislator is a co-sponsor of the legislation. There are a lot of co-sponsors statewide, but there's leadership that is more or less, they're beholding
for the money. Yeah.
There's moneyed interest in this. I mean, I know Blue Cross and Blue Shield is a nonprofit, but they don't have those rules that we propose that no one can get paid more than 7 times the base salary of an employee in a nonprofit.
Right.
There's some people in Blue Cross and Blue Shield and in our hospitals that are getting paid millions
of dollars
per year, and this would definitely affect that.
It would, yes.
It would infect all private insurance companies, everyone dealing with billing. Money in the trust would be set aside to retrain people who are doing billing to get them into providing health care if they so choose to provide the training.
Rather than just say, oh, sorry, you're out of a job.
No, they would.
They want to retrain
them and keep them in the system.
Right.
But but there's going to be a lot of opposition to it. So now what they're trying to do is go community by community to get each city council, each town council, each town meeting to endorse single payer Medicare for all.
So we're trying to do a groundswell up from the bottom.
Right, to put pressure on these legislators who are not seeing, what's happening. Because they talked about it. David Cohen said he went to a meeting in, I think one of it was Heath and Conway or whatever, and there might be someone that was opposed to this, so you have different point. Oh, they don't like this, but then they're looking at their budget because right now there's a projected 12% increase in Medicare. In healthcare insurance premiums. They're looking at cutting. They have to lay off people in order to keep the benefits that they're providing to the other people. In this proposal, it changes that.
Right.
They have a calculation, according to their calculation, just North Adams alone with this system would save $4.4 million in the first year. And all the other communities would save too. Rather than losing jobs because of insurance, they would be expanding their budget.
And hopefully be able to provide far more services, if not more jobs.
Right.
Which, of course, would be our ideal preference, is that more people get hired.
Right.
Which
Instead
would
of
make
laying
services
off.
more efficient.
But there's a lot of layoffs going on in schools and it's all because of the healthcare costs. It's the number one driver in facing all these communities. Right. And so the state has to realize, the state legislature, there's not another alternative. And if we can convince Massachusetts to do this, they're hoping that maybe, if Massachusetts is doing, maybe Maine or maybe
New Jersey,
Rhode Island,
Connecticut,
New York, they'll say, hey, let's get in on this. Right, and all of a sudden, let's get in on this. Because this plan will cover people who work or live in Massachusetts. If you work more than 20 hours a week in Massachusetts, you're eligible. And one of the questions from the audience was, well, what if I go to a doctor, say in Vermont? They said it would be covered. All the borders, they've already considered it. All the people who border New Hampshire and Massachusetts, the people who border Vermont, people who border Rhode Island, they all will be covered if they are going out of state. The insurance trust will try to negotiate with those hospitals. If not, they'll just pay what the bill is.
Right. Because that's one of those biggest worries, because when people say my apologies, that's my phone going off. I needed it to be on because I'm expecting a phone call.
You want to get it? It's all right.
From Berkshire Health Systems regarding Tony.
Speaking of healthcare.
I'm going to step out for a second to make sure it's not them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. But, this is the only dramatic pause of the whole show.
Oh, okay.
But... But, we've been talking about healthcare, and if you're interested in joining MassCare, it's very simple. You can go to the website. It's just masscare.org, And the telephone number is 617-297-8011. And if you want to join, you can help make Medicare for All, single-payer health care in Massachusetts a reality. We need everyone's help, everybody in, nobody out. And what people don't realize that if you have this Medicare for All, if people are not tied to their health care because of where they're employed, people will be free to change jobs and not be, they called it job lock, that they would, be able to change jobs, or maybe they have a great idea and they want to start their own business, they still would have health care.
They might have to pay a little bit, that 10%, but at least it's not, you're, like you said, I was job locked.
Right.
I wouldn't leave my job because you could never match the
Another-
insurance benefits.
Another question that someone asked, because they said, I have a lot of people, I'm for this, but I have a lot of people in my family are against it. One member runs a business and they don't provide insurance for anybody. So now that would be a big added cost to them. And Dave Cohen's response was, I thought it was very right on. He said, my parents ran a business and they had a few employees, but they provided a pension, they provided health care, and they provided life insurance. And,
Right.
But and because they provided those people with those benefits, they still were able to make a living and have a quality of life in their business. And what he said is, what those people who are running businesses that don't provide that health care, those benefits, they have to realize that someone is providing those benefits for them. So if they're not getting those benefits, then we're paying for it with our increase in premium costs. We're paying for it if they're part of the Massachusetts
Mass health system, or
the Mass Health System. There's some way, if they're not covered by their employer, other people are covering them. Someone else is picking. We're doing our tax dollars.
Our tax dollars are paying.
Or
for
our
health
insurance premiums are
And
picking
don't
up
get
the
us wrong, we don't mind paying for the taxes. We want people to be
Right.
covered.
We want
even though the system
right.
isn't the best.
But
it's-
he compared it to paying union dues.
Right.
He goes, we're in the union. People who have been in a union, that, no one likes paying union dues, but you pay the union dues and everybody's taken care of. What harm to one is a harm for all, and we stand together. So that was a good response. Another thing that people don't consider, people who are living in poverty situations that are on Mass Health, they might want to try to get a job, but then if they take that job, that might knock them off of Mass Health. So
now they're locked into being into the other part of the system for taking, the one that gives them food stamps and living expenses.
Right. I can't make too much money, or else I'll lose my health care benefits for my family.
Right.
So this will take that stigma away too. So people, can try to do better and they won't be punished for doing better. It'll be rewarded.
It would be. You would think, yeah. That would,
Everybody
would be rewarded.
everybody
And that would
out.
take away the common prejudice that we hear about people who are low income, who have more than other people have.
Right.
Simply, but they don't realize
Right.
what a
That's the frustration.
tightrope that is.
Right. That's the frustration.
And there's frustration coming from all of us, because here we're paying in and doing the other half of the system, and we think they want to be the way that locked into the poverty system, and they probably don't, but they don't see a way out. That's, because 1 in 10 businesses survive. So it's kind of like, how do you take that chance when you're raising children?
The other question that came up during it, there was a political science professor from Williams College there, and he suggested, he's also very active in the Berkshire Brigade, but he said, well, why doesn't, instead of doing it the entire state, why doesn't all the municipalities get together and start their own municipality insurance company?
Now you're not a big enough market to negotiate with the insurance
and try
company.
that. And John Weissman's response was, he was saying, do it so it works for the cities and towns, and then everybody else will see how good it works. And John Weissman says, well, we don't have it to show any experiment because this is what works in Canada.
Yeah.
It works in all of Europe.
Europe.
All economically developed countries in the world have their own healthcare system. Except us. You know, we don't need to prove it. It already works around the world. And the other part that he mentioned is he quoted a doctor, he said, from Pittsfield, who said, if you were going to jump across a huge chasm, you can't do it in 2 jumps.
No. So his philosophy is do it in one. You know,
Yeah,
take
you
the
can't
plunge
do it. You can't go halfway because you're going to fall.
into the chasm. I agree.
I thought that was a good analogy also. But, you know, there were a lot of good questions and there was a good dialogue. And Representative Barrett, you know, said you have to really push these local, like the mayors, the city council, they have to start pushing. And there's also, it's called a municipal association that all these mayors and city councilors belong to. And they tend to be more conservative. They tend to be more conservative and don't want to do something like this.
Right, this is similar to FDR saying, I agree with you on what it is, but make me do it.
Make me do it, so we have to become more active. Yeah. So
right, it's the only way to accomplish anything, unfortunately, these days, is the groundswell up, because it's not going to come from the top. No, nobody wants to give up what they have in their money now.
We need health care. I mean, and John talked about it. That was the original thing for Medicare. It was supposed to be a national health insurance.
It was, and then they made it into a market.
They closed it. They you know, it was supposed to be for everyone. And there doesn't need, like if we were to do this nationally, I heard George McGovern speak at a Massachusetts convention, and he said you don't need a lot of legislation if you want to do this nationally. You just change the age and do it gradually over 4 years. You say anybody below the age of 10 and above the age of 55 is eligible for Medicare. And then you go anybody below the age of 20, and then you go anybody under the age of 45, then anybody over 30, and then you bring it down till everybody's in. But we're about to close.
We have like 30 seconds left.
We talked a lot about healthcare, but power
this is
to
the one
people.
You love. Yeah. Definitely power to the people, and hopefully we'll be back in a week or 2.
Yeah. And hopefully you have a good summer, and happy Juneteenth coming up.
Happy Juneteenth on Friday, because I almost forgot that was a holiday coming up until I got to work today and looked at the calendar and said, oh boy.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will be back, and get on your legislators about insurance. Your life does matter.
Mistakes of the bosses we must pay for. From the cities and the farmlands to trenches full of mud. War has always been the bosses' way, sir. The union forever defending our rights. Down with the black leather workers unite. With our brothers and our sisters in many far off lands. There is power in a union. Now I long for the morning that they realise brutality and unjust laws cannot defeat us. But who'll defend the workers who cannot organise? And the bosses send their lackeys out to cheat us.